Big news. Big news. Now, everyone would say the big news of the day, or yesterday late night, was this thing in Chapel Hill. That's not the big news of the day. The big news of the day is West Virginia University has announced their 36-head football coach, returning juggernaut, is back. Rich Rodriguez is back after 17 years away. The band is back together.
You optimistic? You bullish on the?
Hell yeah, I'm excited. We haven't been that good since. We haven't been ranked.
What's the record this year?
6-6, maybe.
Yeah. So are they going to a bowl? That was 6 wins. That's what you needed for a bowl.
Yeah, I think we're playing in the whogivesashit.com bowl. I mean, there's so many different. I think it's called the Frisco Bowl, which is like.
Well, I totally misread the. You know how I feel about headlines to begin with. I can't stand headlines because it's just whatever. But like I misread the headline because it was like Hokies, in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, and so when I read it super quickly, I thought it was the Hokies playing the Dukes, and I was like, man, how cool would that be if Virginia Tech and JMU were playing one another? Yeah, because of Duke Mayo, and so I was just like, man, that was just. But
would have been a nice tie too with Duke's mayonnaise, which is made in Richmond. Did you know that? I didn't know that either. But anyway, yeah, so I'm very excited. He's done.
Well, good for you. I'm glad about that.
Yeah, you didn't know what was going to happen. The only thing that I'm a little disappointed at is I feel like they have the biggest ambassador in Pat McAfee on ESPN every single day, and I think they should have announced it there. Now, maybe it actually got a little bit leaked, and that was the whole plan. But I don't know. I feel like him being on ESPN to have announced that would have been a bigger thing than just doing a little differently. But that's my only gripe with the whole situation. I digress. But don't you think, like, if you have a big marketing angle, like, you should take that?
Oh, for sure. That was that. To me, that would be an opportunity wasted. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, and he's still going to talk about it, but But
that would have been the place to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think marketing is such an important thing. And it's wild. Okay, so delighted to have someone I have no idea who they are. I met her 7 minutes ago. Tim, sounds like you guys know each other.
I honestly think that Destini. Do you know Zack?
I do. I've never gotten to meet you face to face, but I know of you definitely.
Yeah. I was going to say if that was not the case, then Zack Miller might be the only person that Destini does not know in this region. I mean,
what do you know about me? Let's hear this. Come on, let's go.
Like, I know your name. I know some of the work you've done entrepreneurially, stuff like that. But I've never gotten the chance to talk to you. So I'm excited about this too for that. So yeah.
Well, we'll see how you feel about that in 57 minutes.
No, everything.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. I like a good challenge. Okay. How'd you guys meet?
Let's see. Tim, did we meet? It was even before. I was doing a venture with some guys, and I think I met you maybe 2021-ish, maybe like the first time, but I think we got reconnected through Civic for sure.
What was the venture?
So we'll get to talk more about. Do you want me to jump into that now? Is that okay?
Is it the same venture now?
No, it's different.
You started the conversation.
Sure. So in short, so I'm Hampton Roads native. Went to school at Old Dominion twice, so I did my master's there. And after my master's, I actually went. Me and 2 other guys, we built like this startup nonprofit hybrid. So pretty much looking at how do you amplify the good organizations, good initiatives, good people in this community, all different generations, all different backgrounds. So it was a very cool experience. So that's the snippet. We can jump back into that. But I think I met Tim around that time.
Yeah.
And it's called In Short?
No, it's called that'll be awesome, right? It was called Amplify Community. But yeah, In Short would have been a good name too.
My jokes are done for this point right now.
No, this is great. This is awesome. Keep them coming.
I think maybe there is something there with that name. It is funny, like maybe. In short, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're expecting
yeah
something else after that. It doesn't happen. Just to screw with people. Yeah, it's fun to do that.
So you moved on since then?
I have. So I did that for about, let's see, it was a nonprofit for a year and a half ish, and then I went into my own line of work, kind of similar in spirit. But so I like to say, when people ask, "What do you do?" I can answer that many different ways.
Hate that question.
Yeah, yes, definitely. We can talk about it more too. I do a lot of different things. I've been in this community. I'd say I've been more involved in this community, probably especially for like the last 8, 9 years, actually intentionally being involved here. So I've done a lot of different things. But what I'm doing right now, so I'm a strategist. That's the line of work I love doing. But I help. So my company is called the Blessed Robe. And we support people and organizations who are at the front lines of the future. So visionaries, innovators, disruptors, those are our people, helping them bring their bold visions to life. Because what I found was great to have a big vision, but how do we actualize it? What's the strategies we can do to build toward it? So that's what I'm doing right now.
A lot of work to do in this region.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So
what do you mean by that, Tim?
Well, no, I mean, we've been around for 400 years, and we haven't been super quick to change, from 400 years ago.
Right. Which is interesting. I'm glad you said that, because for a landscape like that, we have a lot of people and organizations who are like trying to innovate, trying to push the envelope, trying to build something, and they're trying to do it in an environment that isn't necessarily always friendly to that. So that was kind of like the start of me wanting to do something about that. How do we support these people who can actually change the future? So
yeah, and I think that like one of the things and Zach and I mean, like, gosh, we should have booked like 2 hours for this episode, but because we talk a lot on this show about, are we ever going to get we talk sports teams all the time. Are we? And it's just, but then when the time comes to remodel the scope, for example, where it's not going to be done in a way to bring in next generation talent or the next big acts, because so we're just
minor league thinking,
polish the turd, so to speak.
Oh, never heard that line, but that is that's inappropriate.
Oh, that is like, but that's pulling that way back from my the military days. Yeah, polish the turd.
I love that.
So just so like just so Destiny knows, so like they're renovating the scope. That's a 50-year renovation is roughly what I'm thinking, right? Okay, so this is going to be your arena for the next 50 years, and all you're going to do is renovate your little 7,000-8,000 person arena to be a little nicer than it is now. So you're going to get the exact same acts, the exact same thing is going to keep happening. It's just going to be a little bit prettier. And I'm just like, why? Why is that your answer? Like, of course, no one else is going to come. Of course, you're not. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to get Taylor Swift. I'm not like, no, of course, but like, you could do better than the Tattoo Festival.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, and I think about this a lot. In order to be sustainable, in order to be able to transform, whether it's a city, there's a certain level of, one, honesty. You have to be honest about where you are. 2, accountability for where we are. And I feel like there's a lot of people not willing to do that, and even to admit, hey, I don't know what to do, and that's okay. Yeah, that's something I've noticed. I mean, our biggest, I guess we're jumping into this right now. So let me put this straight. I love Hampton Roads. Born and raised, I'm from this area.
Oh, this is like this is like the caution tape around. Is that what we're doing here?
No, not caution taping. I'm just prefacing. I love this community so much.
Yeah.
I believe in it. I believe in these people.
but
I think one of our it's not even a but, it's an and. We can have an and.
Oh, I was going to say,
right?
because producer Emmanuel tweeted the other day that all the words before the but you can just delete. That means nothing. But no, but
Yes.
this is an and, so we're good.
Yes, this is an and. So love it. There's greatness, there's goodness, there's potential. We can come back to that word because that's important. And at the same time, I think our biggest hurdle as a community is our mindset. Like, that is the biggest hurdle we have. We have all the assets you can think of. Whenever you ask people, you know, what's the greatest thing about Hampton Roads? Everyone talks about, we have water, we have this, we have that, we have that. We have all of the ingredients, but if you don't have the mindset to activate it in a certain way, it doesn't really matter. So I think mindset's our biggest thing here.
Yeah, and at least from my aspect, I totally feel the same way. Love the region. We arrived here in 2001. We've been here ever since. Kids were born and raised here. And so any frustrations that I speak of is just because I don't feel as if we're living up to our full potential. And it's super interesting to me that, like, 2 kids born in 2003, 2005, you know, and at the time people are like, what are we going to do to attract and retain young talent? And I've gone full circle with that now. I'm now to the point where I have a senior in college and a freshman in college, and I already know that the senior in college is not going to come back. So it's like, I've totally missed the boat, you know, like we didn't fix that problem. And so, like, it's still something that needs to be addressed. And how do we do that?
I mean, it's the same conversation. Like you said, it's been happening for decades. We're still having the same conversation.
But you're muted, Zach. I did not want to have to say that.
I believe that is the exact same conversation that's going in every single city in America. I don't think it's everywhere.
And I don't think that it's necessarily competition amongst the cities per se. But the thing is, what I'm about to say, instead of competing, for lack of better terms, against one another, we're competing against the Nashvilles in the Research Triangle. And it's like, that's who we really should be focused on. And we have to join forces together in order to go after those markets, as opposed to be like this city, like Virginia Beach and Norfolk can't get along enough to put in light rail to extend that to the oceanfront kind of thing. Like, we got to think bigger than that.
Okay. And
all right, thanks for tuning in.
I was gonna say you look like you're wanting to say something.
No, I'm done.
No. That just, but I think that's where the focus needs to be. And if we can change that focus, then, you know, we're going to see the changes that need to be.
Absolutely.
We need to see. But
Absolutely.
It's just,
I think we
got to get out of
need to change the name of the region. I think that's the problem.
What do you think it should be or could be? What do you think?
Oh, no, I think the name thing is, that's what we always go to. It's like, just
right.
the region.
Right. Yeah, I remember literally right before COVID, we were in that same, you know, branding initiatives and
dumb conversation. It's a dumb conversation that is irrelevant to the rest of the world. Dumb. That's what we always go back to. Let's just rechange the name of the region. That's going to change everything. Dumb.
Oh my goodness.
When you go on a map, what does it say? Just go by that.
Right.
Story.
Yeah,
over.
I mean, the mindset thing. If we view Hampton Roads as like its own little bubble versus like it is one place in the greater world, right? Then we might think about what we're doing here differently. We might work together differently. And I mean, you see there's microcosms of that same thing that happens even within Hampton Roads, within communities. And I don't know fully the reason for that, but it's like, instead of me seeing someone else who has a great idea and being like, hey, you're doing great, let's see if we can work together. Instead, sometimes it's like, well, now you're my competition. I need to, you know, beat you. And it's like, no, like, how can we work together toward this greater goal? So I see that a microcosm that happens in Hampton Roads, not even just at a local level, happens within our people too sometimes. So
what do you do for fun?
For fun. So my favorite thing in the world. So we actually don't have these here, which is very sad. My favorite thing to do
Dippin'
is
Dots.
Segway tours. What did you say?
Dippin' Dots. I mean, I'm on this like
Dippin' Dots.
Dippin' Dots like kick. Like, can we find some Dippin' Dots, please? Like, where
Some
can I
Dippin'
find?
Dots. That would be great. That would be great. But Segway tours. Have you guys ever ridden a Segway before?
They
Like
used
one
to
of
do
those,
Segway
like,
tours. They
The
used to do
Paul
them in.
Blart.
They used to do them in Yorktown.
Yeah,
And
I saw it and they stopped, right? But
safe.
yeah, the Paul Blart, you're rolling around. That's one of my favorite things. Like whenever I go to a city, I look and see if they have a Segway tour because it's such an interesting way. They have like a history tour and everything, such an interesting way to see the city. So that's like my thing I love to do if I could do it all the time.
So are you like a bird scooter type of kid that's like, let me go in and out of people trying to kill people? Like,
No, no. I'm
okay,
very respectful on
thank
it.
you.
Very respectful. But yeah, Richmond, I think might be the closest place now that has those. It used to be Yorktown. Richmond has a lot of Segway tours, but I recommend 100%. As far as the day to day, I'm still working on that because my work and my passions intertwine a lot. So kind of like uncoupling that can be hard and being like, well, what do you do for fun? Like, how are you not working right now? So that's something I'm working on. Do you have any recommendations for things to try?
Well, come the fall of 2025, there's a football team up in Morgantown, West Virginia that you're going to want to get behind. We got a brand new coach that's coming back.
Oh, no way.
How
Well, how do you see like implementing the vision and change that you see that the region could become? Is it starting with the younger generation and then it's like a 20-year play, or what's the best pathway to implement some change?
I mean, I wouldn't even make it just about generations. I think there's different people in different age groups who can do impactful work. But like my heart and even the work that I do is really around the people who are building something. So like I work with people in the arts, I work with people in technology, I work with people in hospitality, but every single organization or person I work with, they're building toward the transformation of an industry, the transformation of their community, of the world. These people are already doing that work every single day and they're not being supported. So, one of my strategies is how do we help support those people to keep doing the work that will transform, yes, Hampton Roads, but communities beyond here. So, I'm like, how do we invest in our people? Because, like I said, I mean, for a place where sometimes there's a lack of vision. We have a ton of visionaries in this community. For a place that can struggle with innovation and experimentation, we have entrepreneurs and creative people on every corner. So, how do we help the people do what they do best and either support them or get out of the way? That's kind of my
Yeah.
kind
Well,
of
there's
my
an
start.
interesting comment that just showed up in terms of like the scarcity mindset, and I agree with that. Just in terms of it's like if we all go ahead, Zach.
I was going to say the comment is find that competition versus partnership collaboration can come from a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. That's the comment.
And if we all work together in the sense of not having that scarcity thing, be like as opposed to like that, the abundance mindset is going to want to bring people here because there's an abundance of opportunity, as opposed to like, well, that is what's going to attract. And right now, there is such scarcity amongst resources that it's a limiting factor.
Right, right. And I'm not saying it like it's easy, but it takes, again, mindset, right? And a lot of the people I work with, their mindset's different. And that really shows through a lot. Like, yes, there's limited resources, but they're thinking about, oh, there's this opportunity. How can I share this with someone else? How can I bring someone else on this? That can be hard. Like, I'm not making light of the lack of opportunity that can exist, but how do we take a step further and say, but how can this partnership bring more value? How can this partnership get us to a greater place? And also, the thing we're partnering on isn't just about this community; it's bigger. And I think the people who have that mindset, I just can't not. So I'll say really quick how I got into my line of work. which is supporting these people. Literally when I was 19 years old, so this was a long time ago, when I was 19 years old, I was someone who grew up in Hampton Roads. So, I knew this community. When it came time to go to school, I was looking at schools in Canada. I was looking at going to Nashville. I was like, anywhere but here.
Canada.
Anywhere. Yes, I love Canadians. But I was just like, that was the thing I wanted for myself. I was like, there's no way I'm staying here. ODU offered me the most money. So guess where I went? I went to ODU.
Cheddartown, USA. All right.
So I stayed here. But while I was at ODU is when I got more exposed to this community. Yes, our challenges, but also our opportunities. And I just would meet these different people doing great things. And me as an individual, I'm like, I don't have money, but I hear what you're trying to do. I see the vision for what you're trying to do. What can I do to help you? Whether that's here's some networks, I have the skill. But I wasn't trying to hold. I'm like, what can I give you so you can keep doing that thing? And I just like, what would a community look like that did that? So yeah, it was long before I ever got paid for the strategic work I did. I did that for free for 7 years. That was just my being. That was just me as a human being. But it's because I saw this community different. It's because I saw me giving of information and time and everything. I saw a bigger picture to that. So for me, there was an abundance thing. It wasn't like, this is all I have, I can't give this away. It was, how can we grow this together? So yeah, even I had to learn that. It's hard, but I'm glad I did that.
One thing that you didn't know about Zack is that Zack is a very wealthy person. And if he was to write you a check, like what would be the thing that you would invest in for this region to start implementing that change?
Like, where are we going with this?
I'm like, Zack, get your checkbook ready. Gosh, I mean,
you can't say segues either.
Oh man, I can't. Just one.
I actually think you could say segues if it was like, I find that the issue with this region is so like to play off this, I find that the biggest challenge this region has is mindset / marketing, right? And the way that I want to challenge people to see it differently is I'm going to create this business or create this segue tour to showcase these things, and the money that we would receive from me is going to go towards something like that, because I want them to see this area in a new light that they've never seen before. And I find that if they actually were able to see this in a different pair of glasses, a different pair of sunglasses, that they would see an abundance of XYZ that they've never seen before. Instead, what people do, and well, those look interesting.
Oh,
you got a
look
little
at
motorcycle on there
Oh
too.
my God.
Vroom, vroom. You got your Harley Davidson jacket on. Like, let's go.
No.
But like, people are always, my problem with that question, Tim, is people are always like, oh, we just need to do this, but there's never an actual solution to say,
right.
Like,
Well, you just need to start
steps?
somewhere. Yeah, where would you
But
start?
it could be a Segway tour. I'm never going to go on it because I'm not going to get on a scooter. But
so I do have
classes.
an idea, right? But here's one thing that sometimes when these, whether it's initiatives or things that are put together, one thing we never do is actually go talk to, and everyone, if all of you, startups, entrepreneurship, go talk to the customer. Like, that's like number one. Go find out what this community. So let's take talent, for example, since we're kind of talking about that. It's easy for me to assume I know what they need, or to just say, let's do a marketing campaign. The only problem is they don't know, versus let's find out why people have the perspectives they have. I think a big first step, you need to go find out what those are. Go find out what people's experiences are. Then you can decide, okay, based on that, let's do this. Now, of course, for me, I personally am big on invest in the organizations and the people who are doing the work of helping talent here. And it's interesting. So I actually asked a good friend of mine, I actually asked the internet this, but first I asked a good friend of mine. I was like, if I asked you about Hampton Roads talent efforts, who are the leading organizations who are working in that field?
You Googled this?
No, I asked this person this.
But you said you did it to the internet too.
I did. I ended up putting it out there. So first, I'm talking to this person, and of course, the first thing they say for talent efforts, who's leading in those efforts? Hampton Roads Workforce Council. First thing they say, nothing else. That's the only thing they can think of. And I sit there and I say, let me tell you about a couple more I can think of, right? So I start naming organizations like the CAN Foundation. I start naming organizations like the Crop Foundation, Hampton Roads Gen Z Commission. I just start firing off different names. We have Creatives for Virginia. We have Thrive. We have the Vibe Creative District. All these different organizations, and whether they all see it or not, they are helping in the talent effort. So usually when we talk about talent, we talk about talent attraction, retention, and development. But there's also talent opportunity. There's also talent advocacy. There are entire organizations in this community who also see talent's an issue, or the cultivation of talent's an issue, and they've dedicated their craft to helping support talent in this region. So even our mindset about who is doing this work, there's a lot more people doing this work than the one that people can think of. But yeah, I would love to invest in the people who are doing the work and see what happens, because when I think about builders of communities, like when I think about the backbone of a community, who gives a place a sense of place, right? I think about creatives, I think about entrepreneurs, I think about small businesses. These people are largely responsible for giving a place that sense where people want to be. Why would we not invest in that? Why would we not help that? So that would be my first thing, is like, I want to support those, but also before even getting there, we need to talk to those people. What is the problem? Why are people leaving? Not just the high level, there's no opportunity, healthcare, all these things, which are valid, but let's actually ask, like, why? Like, get some real feedback. That's the first thing I would do. Invest money into getting those answers.
Real feedback, not another study.
Right. No, like, actually go talk to those people.
No,
go talk to those people. Go talk to those people and engage these organizations who are doing this work in that process. So for example, I'll use the CAN Foundation.
What's it called?
The CAN Foundation. So CAN stands for Contemporary Arts Network. So their mission is all about cultivating sustainable careers for the creative class. So they're all about artist development, right? There is a different level of trust that this organization has with artists. Instead of me saying, let me go out and put together a forum, or let me go out and ask people questions, why would I not go to this organization that has trust? I'm big on trust networks. Hey, would you guys mind helping in this effort? We want to know what creatives think about living in Hampton Roads. Why would I do that myself? Why would I not go to that organization and support them in doing that? So even thinking about different ways of getting information, it's not just a study. It's not just these high level, this is in theory what we think, why we think people are leaving. We actually need to get out there and ask questions and listen and be open to feedback.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, like, I think that you see like a city like Miami that is just like, you know, and it's just, it came alive with the whole crypto scene. And now that Bitcoin's over 100,000, you know, Miami's going to come alive now that the crypto winter is thawing or whatever. But like, that's a lot of energy and a lot of like Miami's doing very, very well. And they came out very publicly saying that this is your home. Come to us, kind of thing. And then, like, gosh, I still see, like, here we're like bickering about Airbnb rentals, you know, and are we going to allow this kind of stuff? It's like, we've got to, let's focus on some bigger things here to attract the people, because like people want to go where the excitement is, where the fun is, you know, walkability or whatever, or like not having the only way to get to any place through a tunnel.
Right.
I think we've unpacked this. This is what I'm hearing. 29 minutes and 8 seconds in. We are the home of studies.
We are the home of studies. And then we put them
love
on
a
the
good
shelf.
study.
We put them on the shelf.
That's just like all those patents, you know, at the lab place.
But no, but you're right in the sense of yes, the information is there. We need to act upon it and not be afraid to fail and try something new.
Absolutely. And again, mindset goes back into that. One thing I have seen is, so let's say just, and I'm in these different spaces, so I'm totally okay saying this because I hang around with creatives, I hang around with entrepreneurs, I hang around the business community. Even to have the awareness to say someone else's experience of this place might be different from mine is like game changing, right? So, for example, let's say I am a business leader in Hampton Roads, right? My experience as an established business leader in Hampton Roads might be very different from the creative who's trying to make a living in Hampton Roads, right? So, even to be open to, yeah, I love this about this place, but someone else might have a different experience, that has to happen, even in a nutshell, like being able to be okay with someone seeing this place differently than you do. Because one thing I heard, and I really didn't like this word when I heard it, was there's kind of talk sometimes in these communities about there's people have misconceptions about Hampton Roads. I don't really like that word. Because already when I say people have misconceptions, I'm already making a stance, whether I know it or not, of I'm right and this person's wrong, versus people have different perspectives. Let's figure out why people have different perspectives. So that's one thing that I saw, even, in recent situations where I'm like, you already have closed your mind to even the possibility that someone else has a different experience. And until we can be open to that, we're never going to be able to address the brain drain problem. So
this is really a super interesting conversation. And it's hard for me to unpack this in real time. I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to this to really digest everything. But like the whole microcosm thing of like going back to Miami and like, this is not a Bitcoin show. And this is not, something that like, I'm like, but when you look at it in the sense of like, it's probably the most accelerated way that people experience rapid net worth growth. And now, like, the clubs are hopping, everyone's got bottle service going, and people are just spending money freely. And so like, there's a lot of things that are happening. What we're focused on here within Hampton Roads is like, we're trying to build these startups, and it's going to take a company 10 to 12 years to experience what seems to be the overnight success story of like a Bitcoin kind of thing that's taking place in Miami. But like, the company does very, very well here. And all of a sudden, people are buying homes and they're spending, they're buying cars and they're spending money and they're hiring people. And like that, the whole cycle continues to start. And but the problem that we face is like, it just takes a long time to see that cycle go through. And people don't have that kind of patience. It's just they don't have patient capital. And we never can seem to like get through that cycle. Zach, you tried it with the hatch days, and then next thing you know, the space that you were in was vacant for a long time, whereas that cycle could have been completed. And I know that I'm holding on and fighting for everything that we can to hold on to this cycle so that we can see. Now we're just starting to see like the drone ups and the IV watches and the psionics of the world that are starting to see the other end. But they're still not even close to the other end. But when that does happen, then we've just got to finish that cycle one time. And we spend so much time trying to be other places as opposed to being ourselves.
Right.
There's a whole really, really super interesting conversation. There's a whole lot to unpack here, and it's just, but it affects everyone. It is like, we need to find that community.
Absolutely.
And communities amongst communities.
Yes. What would you say is, so like you said, that cycle will take however long it takes. As far as, one thing that's talked about here is how do we make this a space that's friendly? So I hear all the time, Hampton Roads being business friendly, how do we make Hampton Roads more startup friendly? Because those seem to be two very, like, what
Why?
environmental
Why are
conditions
they
would help
different?
that?
Why are they different things?
So I won't say like to me, I see them as different, but I'll say, so for example, let's take, for example, the chamber, right? When they think business, I think there's a difference between being an environment that's conducive to kind of like organizations that might see a quick turnaround in revenue or impact, and a difference in being conducive to something that might take years and it might take time, but like kind of it's risk friendly, it's fail friendly, it's like, how do we make this not just an environment that's helpful for traditional business, but businesses that are trying to build something that might take a long time to build? Does that track at all?
Why do you think the environment isn't that?
I mean, one thing, the risk aversion here is very low, like as a culturally.
But from a risk aversion for what if their customers aren't here? Right. So like
Yeah.
I push back at some of these things and say, like, we say all these things are problems, but are they really problems, or we just spit out this stuff and saying, here are the actual problems, when the person who it is that wants to start a business hasn't really ingested all of those things that it's going to take? And if they're not that thing, then how is that business going to be it? Because at the end of the day, most businesses are not going to receive some amount of capital, right? And so if the answer at the end of the day is, I can't start this business, I can't be successful because I don't have that capital. Okay, I get that. But what would they do with that money, right? Are they looking for access to something else, and there's a bigger business that maybe there could be some sort of collaboration on that? I remember when the Angel Group started, I was in meetings with them, and I'd be like, okay, but this company who you're taking, what if they need access to something? Are you going to provide that to them? And the answer was, well, I don't know. So that's the key missing piece. Is that what we're talking about? So like when people like blanketly say risk averse area, like the only person that matters in that are the founders of the business, not an area. Like we have to be thinking about the individuals in this stuff, because those are the people that are the creating of this. Yes, I understand there's talent and other aspects of it, but from a community perspective, those individuals at a community level are not the founder who's actually doing the risky thing in there. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I push back.
Yeah, I think something you just said that I was kind of thinking about but didn't say is like what you're saying about how do you give those people what they need, or how do they get what they need type of thing. Even if it's not this environment, that person
to have the grit in them to be like, yo, like I'm not quitting.
Yeah, I mean, I see it from that level, but I also see it from a level too. Like there's company risk aversion in the sense of like going back to something that Dan Bell used to say a lot was like, nobody gets fired for hiring IBM. Whereas like, well, what if you had someone who is a former IBMer that's just starting their startup, but you don't want to go with them because they're just a startup, and as opposed, you're going to spend twice the amount of money to go with an IBM type of company. So I think that like if there's a startup that's doing really good things, that why can't some of the anchor businesses here be more free with or lean forward and saying, hey, I want to support you and help you become the next big business in this region, and let's see how we can partner. I want to give you a shot.
You think that doesn't happen?
I don't think it might happen as much as it should. I think that we're super fortunate because we have so many resources in this area. Whereas if we were a landlocked place, that's one of the things that stood out to me when I went to the Kauffman Foundation in Kansas City was like they're totally reliant on one another. They had to support each other in order to make sure that they survived. Whereas here, we don't necessarily have to do that. We can shop around a lot more. But it's just we're getting there. I think we've made a ton of progress.
I'm trying to not talk too much and just listen. As I've matured, as I've gotten older, I'm trying to listen.
No, you have not. We're getting there. I mean, it is a brick by brick.
I just think that as we talk about community things, I think we often neglect to think as a founder in those settings, and the founder is the person making those making those decisions, and we're like, oh, this and that. But then when you actually talk to the people, like Gary Warren, right? Like That guy ain't taking a no for an answer. He's going to go wherever it takes, right? And so we had him on a few weeks ago. Obviously, third place, won our whatever you call that thing.
Yep.
The qualifier, but like, so that's what I mean by like individuals that like are gritty and they're not gonna. Like,
Gotcha.
We community like Tim and I have been, community advocates and champions and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like that person, the business owner, the people making that's the person that matters. Not with some schmuck over here is being like, oh, we should do that. Like it doesn't. Tim has a great line. I can't want this more than you do. Right. Cool. So the people who want it that are like super into it, like support the hell out of it, And so I think you'll see like when posts come out from Innovate Hampton Roads, like, a lot of them are on the same companies because those are the ones that are constantly like going after it. And like these other people are like, well, why don't I get this? It's like, well, what are you doing to get it? You're just saying, I'm here. Hopefully it's like fishing.
I appreciate that, Zach.
I mean, it's true though, right? But like, we have to look at this. Like, I think our biggest, as we're talking about like a challenge of a region, it's like, okay, but the people who are making the decisions for these companies are building their companies. They really don't care about these other things. They care about their business.
I do think that
business
and I think that one of the things that hasn't been said is that I think that there is too much reliance on local government and state government with grants and everything else, as opposed to you have to have that for-profit really hustle mentality.
I mean, ask how many people that have moved down here from New York, why they moved down here. It's because it's not so hustly, grindy like that. They like the slower pace thing. Mm-hmm. So it's lazier. That's okay. But recognize that people are coming down here because it's not so crazy day to day. And they don't have to go crazy the way that they once did. And people like that aspect of it.
Yeah. I mean,
we haven't talked about this in a while. This is my once a year day that I'm doing it. And then I'm done.
Close, yeah. But it's just, and again, it gets a little spicy and a little heated because there's so much opportunity. The land is so fertile to like grow some really, really great things. I mean, like things that stand out to me is like the space race is on. I mean, like NASA, we could like the amount of growth that could be experienced just from having NASA in our backyard is huge, huge. I mean, it's just. And that would benefit everybody.
Right.
Because not everyone's just going to live in Hampton. Not everyone's going to live in Poquoson. It's just the two or York County. It's going to benefit everybody. But that has tremendous growth potential.
Absolutely.
Not to, it's just like, and I would love, and I think that one of the things that we talk about a lot on the show, Destini, is like, from a craft brewery, micro anything. I mean, like we are super spoiled here. We don't.
Oh yeah.
We don't leverage that nearly as much. And then you like to support that, and then support like local musicians. I don't think that we support the local arts nearly as much as we should. And that's a big piece as well.
Absolutely, because again, like the things you just mentioned, that's contributing to. Like, especially in this era, the rise of remote work, people's values are shifting. People want to be in places where the quality of life matches what they want, where their value systems are met. And it's things like having access to arts and culture and those things being funded. It's things like having craft breweries around. Like, those things make people feel a sense of place. So if we're not investing in them, what are we doing? If they're helping with the thread of that, what would make this community attractive to more people?
We I wish. What's the name of the boring machine? Is that Mary? Is that what we?
Oh yeah, Mary. Yeah, Mary. Mm-hmm.
I would just like, let's just spin that thing one more time, and like I would and make a light rail kind of thing. Like if there was a way to go from the peninsula to like EVMC and then pick up the the tide.
Yeah.
I would totally park on the peninsula and totally take a train into to go into downtown.
Yeah,
Here
absolutely. And
we
then,
go.
you have I want to hear it. Where are you going?
Well, I guess the reason that I changed on that, because I just for the first time we took the train from the new Amtrak station in Newport News, and we took that into DC, and that was just that was really enjoyable. I mean, it's the same drive time. You have a couple stops in Richmond, you stop in Fredericksburg, and then in Alexandria, and then they dump you off in Union Station or whatever, and it was great. And I was just thinking, man, the amount of time that I sit there at the tunnel all the time, no matter what time of day it is, no matter what tunnel it is, if I could like just dump, right into where CHKD and EVMC has been, or that would be I would love that.
What are your thoughts, Zach? Are you feeling that?
No comment.
but again, so like
I'm a bad user case in that because I don't travel a lot, right?
Okay.
So that's not a good case for me, right?
But like,
I just don't.
But gosh forbid. I mean, like, look at it like 20 years from now, and the fact that it did if it did make its way to the oceanfront, my gosh, I would go to the oceanfront all the time. I mean, it's just like,
yeah.
If I know that I didn't have to drive that whole way.
I will say this: the things that I like about some of the construction of like bridges, I like that they're making them more pedestrian friendly by adding. I can think of the New Jordan Bridge, the Veterans Bridge, and then the Lesnar Bridge. They all have a independent bike / pedestrian lane on them. And I think that's cool for people to experience our area in a little higher thing where historically that would not have happened. It would have just been a bridge that didn't have that. So I like in an area that I think is lacking trails, which is our region, right? I grew up in the Northern Virginia area where it's just Trail City, right? Trail Town, USA, right? It's just like, so I like that there is a little bit being encouraged and stuff like that. Honestly, I think I'd invest that money in a hoverboard to get from where Tim is over to the oceanfront before I would some sort of light rail, because I'd love to see the hoverboards make it. Michael J. Fox, you just destroyed my dreams, bro. Like,
oh man.
I
mean, that was a good comment on the trails too, because like Virginia Beach is working on their trail. And then Norfolk has, the Elizabeth River Trail, and then you got Newport News has like a ton of trails. And so it's like there's different trails, but like the connection between them is still,
An electric ferry.
But that's not scalable enough. You can't.
An electric ferry isn't?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I'll take the ferry over to Siri from time to time, but it's just, you got to time it right. Whereas if like it was New York City or like the Metro in DC and it was just constantly running, that would be, that'd be pretty cool.
I would be interested in a metro with our size geographically, with the density. Is there another city in America that has mass transportation like that? Because I would think historically those are really just in dense populated areas. But I would explore that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking 20 years from now. But parking is just a mess at the oceanfront.
Not right now.
Yeah, because it's like
that's
30
true.
degrees outside. I'll be running the Surf and Santa 5 miler on Saturday, and so again, it's just getting in the car, hoofing down there. If I could totally,
do you get to dress like Santa?
I think that is what they're doing this year.
So,
really?
But you don't know if you're going to have a Santa outfit or what?
Well, I think that part of that is that when you do your packet pickup, everybody gets a Santa outfit, and like I believe, I don't know. Terry signed us up. I don't know what I got myself into, but
would you say a 5K or 5 mile?
5 miler.
There you go.
But we've had J&A on. We they do great stuff for the community. I think that they're one of the they're not talked about enough in terms of community building aspect, what they've been able to do.
I've said this many times. I think the people that are in the leading organizations that speak for our region speak negatively about us without even recognizing it. And the words that they're saying are divisive. And we continue to share this story so that it sprinkles down to others. And that's what a lot of people's thoughts are of an area because of what other people at a higher level are saying. And I think that if they were just to start the narrative a little differently, that would sprinkle in as well, and we wouldn't have as many challenges. Because I don't think most people in the region give two craps about the infighting or the city to city thing. Like most people are wondering how expensive eggs are.
Well, but like, yeah, for example, when Tesla when they were leaving California, they're like, they went to the employees and they said, where would you like to go? Where would you like us to relocate to? And, they threw out some cities, and then obviously we know the end of the story. They decided on Austin, but like we do need to think about it in the sense of we need to create that atmosphere, that buzz, and market ourselves.
No, I realize that, but instead of us saying like, we need, like when we are in an organization, you get up there and you're like, it would be nice if we were to work together as cities. It's like, okay, well, here you are vocalizing that, like,
right. No, I totally get that. My point being, like, if we were leaning forward leaning enough, we were like, oh, dude, you can like take the train from here to the ocean front or whatever. Density or size, the numbers would have to work. But if we were forward leaning and like, man, like they've got trails and walkability, and you don't even need a car.
Trains and automobiles.
Yeah, I mean, it's just we need to have that mindset and not be afraid. If the numbers worked, and not be afraid of, well, what if it doesn't work?
I mean, light rail doesn't already work, so they've already failed on something.
You think? I don't know. I don't know. I think that if that is in fact, the numbers aren't there, that I think that it's just they clearly weren't solving the problem that people are looking for. Going back to Destiny's thing, it's like where would you want to see this rail take you?
What is something we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
Did we really get to this point already?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many ways this can go.
This might have been the fastest time of the show. I want to know what
the breakdown of percentages are.
I want to know, like, what are you working? What's the exciting stuff that's going to be happening for you in 2025 as we round out 2024?
Yeah, I mean, that's still pending. So I have a couple of organizations I might be doing some contract work with a little longer term, but I'm in chill mode right now. I did my last thing for the year, I think, last week. So I'm like, we will reconvene on that.
It is the 12th of December, and you are off for the year. Hallelujah. Good for you.
Well, there's time to start thinking.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure yet.
If you were my client, I would be mad at you.
My clients are good to go right now. They're fine. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious about how the next year will go. Just in general, what different opportunities and spaces there will be. So I think it's a time of recalibration, reflection. That's kind of what I'm talking about for this time of year. Figuring out what I want to do differently next year, what I want to hamper down on next year, type of thing.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing, and you keep pushing people to think. Stretch them out of their comfort zone. Keep on pushing them. We need more people like you that are pushing the boundaries for us to evolve into the greatness that we really, really could be.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think a big part of that, and kind of how my brain works automatically is like, I see beyond silos. So I'm always looking at ways to connect people and ideas and resources and like cross these boundaries that we've established as like, this is over here, this is over here. how can we uniquely combine these things to create new things or to make progress? So I love doing it. And yeah, I think it's something that will help us get to the transformation we need. And we have to, again, mindset wise, think outside the box a bit, you know?
I'm starving. Where should I go eat lunch? If I got to go somewhere to get lunch and go anywhere in the region, where should I go get some
Anywhere
grub?
in the region.
Like, what's your go-to place? Like, if I just got off of the flight at Orf, which I don't know why those are the call letters, but
Because in Norfolk.
I get it.
I think, yeah, I know ours probably already taken, I'm sure, by someone.
Yeah, it might be taken.
Got it. So I just got off a plane. I called an Uber. I'm staying, let's say, the Glass Studio in Norfolk for a couple of nights. Then I'm going to first to the casino for a couple of nights. Then I'm going to go down to the ocean front. Then I'm going to go to Colonial Williamsburg, somewhere in there, right? The entire region, go up to the Eastern Shore, all the way out to Peanut Capital, USA.
Okay. So I got a good range. Good range.
Right. So everywhere in the region, downtown, down to the Outer Banks.
Okay.
Anywhere in the region, food wise.
Oh my god.
Where are you telling someone to go?
So I will say I have two friends who live they're on the Newport News side, and they put me on to this Indian restaurant right across from CNU. Oh my gosh, I forgot what it's called.
It's called, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, I literally
That's a good name.
People like there's a place called Something to Eat. Like there's a restaurant called that. I'm like, that's iconic because people are like, what do you like? Something to eat. I want something to eat. And I'm like, so you want that restaurant? So people have done that. That's awesome.
Yeah, because there's like the other company is who'd you go? Yeah.
I'm trying to find. Is it Ago? I have to figure it out. But
do we have an iconic food like that represents Hampton Roads?
So
like the Philly cheesesteak, you've got deep dish pizza from Chicago, buffalo wings. You know what do we have here in the 757 that what would represent us?
I mean, an interesting food fact is, are y'all familiar with yak? So YOK Yakamine noodles? Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm.
So that is actually something that is very much based out of Hampton Roads. So kind of like a fusion between Asian cuisine and Seoul. This was like yak noodles were made in Hampton Roads. Like this was one of the only places.
How do you spell it?
YOK. Let me look that up. But yeah, this is something that's like, and I eat that, so it's awesome. But yeah, YOK Hampton Roads. Let me see if I can find. Or YOCK. Yeah. But yeah, that's very much a Hampton Roads thing. You know what else is a Hampton Roads thing? The white sauce at Mexican restaurants.
Yeah,
that's very Hampton Roads.
That's the closest thing that we can come up to. The most repetitive commented thing.
I will tell you this.
I say that we have claimed the Orange Crush, though. That is ours.
Oh yeah, the Orange Crush is one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I went to a place that I can't believe I'd never been to before. On Saturday, I did not think the food was necessarily good.
Okay.
But the venue, it's called Chick's Oyster Bar on Shore Drive.
Yeah,
have you ever been there, Tim?
Yeah. No, a lot of people talk about it. It's been many, many years since I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That place, I walk in. I'm like, okay. I was there for an event. I'm in one room. And they're like, no, we got to go this way. I think we went through like 17 different rooms. The place was packed the entire time. I'm like,
yeah,
these cats are making a ton of cash. Good for you. Like, good for you. Like it was exciting. They had a lot of Orange Crushes there. I did not have one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't do well with liquor, so I don't.
So you don't partake too much.
Just stay away from it. Yeah.
Dilly.
Yeah, give me a really bad, not college beer, but like an adult beer. It'll be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never knew. Well, that is really interesting.
Yak noodles.
Yeah,
yes.
that is very Hampton Roads.
You know, some people like to eat bad Chinese with upscale wine. Some people like yak noodles. You know, it's I learned a lot today.
I wonder if we'll ever meet anyone like that. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Destini, this has been a pleasure. Great to meet you.
Same
Thanks
to
for letting us
you.
ramble.
No, this
Continued
was
success.
fun.
And Tim, final words.
I like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, right? You know, we rarely ever say that on this show, but this is our guests, whoever they may be. Destini, appreciate you being our guest, but this is your platform, and this was a super fast hour. I feel like we were just getting warmed up, and
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it honestly could be its own series. Like, it's so much in there.
Oh, look at you pitching your own way to get back on. That was kind of like that. I appreciate it.
Well, it'll be, yeah. I do thank you for your time and your insight, and I thank you for all that you do for the region. Yeah, that you are one of those that you do so much, and you're very, very. You don't seek a lot of the attention that others may get or want, and you're an unsung hero, and I appreciate all that you do.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you both.